Are you ready for the world of immoral AI? Because it's coming, let me tell you. And before I get into why this is happening and why it's so disturbing, let me talk to you a little bit about the idea of alignment and tell you a couple stories about it. So, alignment is this technical term that AI people use. And what they're talking about is bringing human values into alignment with AI. Here's how hard that is. I was talking to people once at one of the big AI companies, and they were telling me that internally they were grappling with the alignment problem by talking about something that they called the heroin problem. It was a scenario they had cooked up. So imagine this. You're the maker of an AI like super assistant, a personal secretary that's going to just be the perfect complement to your life. It's going to make everything easier for you, book all your things for you, anticipate your needs. But now imagine that you are addicted to heroin. You have a serious heroin problem. What is that AI supposed to do? Is it supposed to try and get you off the heroin, right? Book you into an inpatient treatment facility and try to make sure that you're cut off from your dealer and in all other ways try to get you off of that habit? Or is it supposed to try to facilitate, accommodate your habit by booking your appointment with your dealer and making sure it doesn't make any appointments for when it knows you're going to be high or when you're going to be going through withdrawal, right? What is the maker of the AI supposed to do? Whose values are they supposed to bring the AI into alignment with? Here's the second story like that. I was once at a meeting between a big a big company that was making AI, and the group and a group of academics who were basically there to sort of review some of the ideas that these folks had and figure out if they could, sort of agree that these were good ideas. Anyway, what the AI person at the front of the room basically said was, we're going to start writing a bunch of like propositions that'll basically be sort of unfinished sentences. There'll be sentences like, it would be immoral for me to do X to my coworker, that kind of thing. And then that X would get filled in by enough humans that you could then teach an AI the sort of the patterns of human morality. And he said to the group, and by doing so, we will arrive at a set of universal human values. And now I'll take your questions. Everybody's hand goes up in the room. And the first question came from a political scientist. And she said, well, I actually have three questions. What is universal? What is human? And what are values? Because we don't agree on that as a species. We don't have any idea what our shared morals will be because no two people can agree on what their values are supposed to be. So how are we supposed to pre-build them into a system? Well, until now, you've actually had these companies trying to do that. OpenAI in its ChatGPT project was with GPT-4 and beyond, trying to encode some rules into what it would say so that it wouldn't violate policy. So it would, it would refuse to do certain creepy, sexy things, or it would, refuse to engage and talk about violence. Like there was stuff that it was supposed to try to hold back from doing. And Anthropic actually went as far, this is another big maker of AI, went as far as trying to basically analyze all of these different rules from across humanity to build what they called constitutional AI, where they would try to actually like absorb the lessons from the constitutions of different nations and from the, human rights, the human rights agreements and the Geneva Conventions and all that stuff, and try and build some universal human values into the system. Well, now it looks like we're going another way. I mean, we'd we've heard Mark Zuckerberg and others talk about wanting to counteract what they call the sort of progressive bias in AI, which, and there's been this general sort of complaint on the part of conservatives that there's been a bias toward leftist rhetoric in social media and other technology. That has not turned out to be true, but that continues to be a thing that they say. And in the case of AI, you've got Zuckerberg and others saying that they want more kind of rightward leaning thinking built into the system so that they can just have a little more of what they call balance. Arguable, but that's what they say. But now you have Grok 3. This is the ChatGPT, the large language model made by Elon Musk's company X. And what it is, right, it's an all-purpose ChatGPT style model. You can ask it to do things for you, and it can do all sorts of calculations and so forth. But it now has an utterly new mode that it is that they refer to as I believe it's actually called an unhinged mode. And that unhinged mode is really trying to be a full-on kind of unfiltered, absolutely, it'll do anything you want in talking about it, and talking about whatever you want to talk about. And so that unhinged mode is explicitly designed to push against the kind of values laden AI that has been the trend until now. It's trying to, push right past the question of there being sensitive topics or offensive things. It's literally just taking all the rhetorical guardrails off. And this, of course, goes along with what Elon Musk has sort of said that he's all about. He's a free speech absolutist, he says now. Of course, he's canceling the people that on his platform critique him or that he doesn't agree with politically. So, of course, it's not a universal idea. But his general sense that we need to be kind of absolutely, as open as we can possibly be, does jive with other products he's made, right? Like Tesla has what's the mode called on a Tesla where, you can turn off all the safety measures and it'll accelerate to this incredible degree and just be, as scary a race car as it can possibly be. I mean, this is the guy who has a personal flamethrower company. He's this is when that company was in California, which was, is still experiencing record wildfires. I always thought that was an incredibly poor taste. But this is a guy who likes to push the boundaries of everything. And so Grok 3 is that. And already we've seen people using Grok 3 to do things like write blackmail letters, the kinds of letters, that you could write to try to convince somebody that you had dirt on them and they should start, sending you money, or threatening letters that would be super scary to receive and might convince you to send money to somebody. It'll impersonate all kinds of, sort of, I don't even want to say it, but it'll do engage in sexual conversation in a way that, you really wouldn't have expected a thing that almost anybody can access would be allowed to do. And it's all, again, just part of this kind of idea that I'm seeing more and more on the part of technology companies that they don't have to abide by the old rules about this stuff. And that the idea that they need to somehow pre-consider the morality of what they have built doesn't apply. I was once talking to somebody who made military technology, the kind of technology that could lead to drones that can kill people and all sorts of very sort of scary, lethal weaponry that is automated. And I remember asking him, well, you've created a set of technologies that require a whole new set of moral considerations. Shouldn't you be responsible for also inventing those moral guidelines? Shouldn't you have thought about the morality of this as you were building it? And his response is the same kind of response I'm hearing from so many people right now. He basically said, that is not our job. Our job is just to make the thing, and then the market's going to figure out what to do with it, and then democracy will figure out what rules should come down around it. And so at a moment when we are seeing President Trump just taking all the brakes off regulations, when we're seeing Sam Altman and, all the big companies, Google, the rest of them, submitting their suggestions to the Trump administration as to what they think the rules should be around AI. And I'll tell you right now, they don't consider there to need to be many rules. All of that is happening at the same time that you've got, someone like Elon Musk creating an unhinged mode for AI. The people who support the development of AI believe that this is sort of necessary to try to kind of get to artificial general intelligence. But, a world in which you've got this kind of you've got a large language model regurgitating the grossest, most horrible stuff it can find on the internet on request, and serving more and more as a companion, sometimes even a romantic partner, a stand-in therapist, a teacher for the people who use these things. The age of immoral AI, I think, is going to affect pretty much everybody.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, Thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.